Hi, and welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Johnny DC.
And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
And this is episode 150.
Congrats to you, sir.
And congrats to you as well. What makes this episode awesome? We were pitting the Titans against the X-Men.
Yeah, it's a big team versus team duel episode.
If you remember from episode 100 from last year, we pit the Justice League against the Avengers.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Hopefully this episode is just as good as that one because I was a big fan of that episode.
A lot to live up to.
What'll make this episode amazing is if you just break down into tears at the end.
Why would I do that?
From losing this duel.
Oh, that's not going to happen. You're underestimating the Titans.
Not? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see. The plan right now is to do a big team duel episode every 50 episodes.
Yeah.
And I mean like a 7-on-7 team, not like a 2-on-2. We've done those in the past.
Right. We pick 7-on-7 because that's generally the number that Jonathan and I can handle, considering that a big team matchup adds a whole lot more math to the simulations that we run for these matches.
Oh yeah, we started running the simulations days ago.
Yeah. It's matrices of data that you have to compare as opposed to just sets of data. So yeah, hope you guys appreciate it. We'll get into that matchup later on this episode. Before that, we're going to be going over the comic book movie news from the past week.
That's right. We'll be talking about how the Joker has become the first R-rated film to surpass $1 billion in the worldwide box office. Somebody owes me $20.
20 doll hairs, I think, was the bet, right?
Okay, then give me the doll hairs.
I don't have any dolls, but...
You better get them quick.
Oh, shit.
We're also going to be talking about our first impressions of Disney Plus and the new trailer for the animated Harley Quinn series on DC Universe.
As always, you can see the segment times in our episode description, so go ahead and jump to whatever topic you want to hear the most. A reminder that you only have a few more weeks left to participate in our comic book giveaway contest that we have going on right now. Jonathan and I are giving away the 4-issue Marvel vs. DC miniseries that came out in the 90s. The issues are in great condition, they're bagged and boarded, ready to ship out to one lucky winner that we draw at random amongst a pool of those who post a link to their favorite episode of this podcast on social media, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and tag us in that post.
Right, so once again, post to social media a link to your favorite episode of our podcast and tag us.
Facebook is a little bit screwy. If you can't tag us in that post, be sure to send a message to us so we can get you added to our pool. Remember that Jonathan and I will be announcing a winner on Thanksgiving Day 2019, so make sure to get your post in before that.
Real quick, last week we mentioned that we had 169 ratings on Apple Podcasts. As you may know, we're trying to get to 200 ratings, ideally before the end of this year, because once we hit that number, we will have met all of the criteria set by Rotten Tomatoes to become a eligible critic on their platform, and have our film ratings count towards their tomato meter.
This week, we still have 169 ratings. Crickets. We have one job, and that is to provide you with quality Marvel and DC entertainment every week, and your job is to rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts or iTunes.
Or at least force your friends to.
Yeah, force them. Like, grab their hands, and as they're questioning what you're doing, just like make them swipe through their phones to iTunes and then hit the 5-star button.
Don't do that, but definitely encourage people to rate us on Apple Podcasts verbally.
With threats.
Jeez.
Now that that's done,
quick, to the no prize.
A no prize is an award Marvel used to give out up until the 90s to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award that we post on social media that Jonathan personally draws for those who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week.
Last week's question was, who should play Firefly in the upcoming Batman film?
Right, that's the big major villain that hasn't been cast that's going to be in Matt Reeves' Batman film.
Right, and I mentioned last week, it's kind of a throwaway question. I didn't actually care because Firefly wears a mask and he's not like a big Batman villain. Right. But I was actually surprised by the quality answers we got in this one.
Yeah, people actually cared more than you did.
Right. And it made it really, really tough to choose an answer.
Yeah, so many great character actors, I think.
For sure, for sure. So before we give away the winner, we want to give an honorable mention to Jeremy Orr, who gave the answer of John Malkovich.
I could totally see that.
For a long time, I wanted John Malkovich to play the Vulture in a Spider-Man film. And I kind of see them doing Firefly in a similar way to the Vulture.
Right, that's what Harrison Fox said, who also gets honorable mention for his answer of Michael Keaton, citing that Vulture similarity.
The depiction of the Vulture in the Spider-Man film is pretty close to the depiction of Firefly in the Arkham Knight video game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they both wear like these pilot masks, and they have like these mechanical wings.
Interesting. Honorable mention goes to Bodo Winter, who gave the answer of Charlize Theron. So he gender bent the role, and if you're going to gender bend the role, I think Charlize Theron is pretty high up there in actresses I would consider for this part.
Yeah, he posted a drawing that I think came from a Gotham tie-in comic in which Firefly was female.
Okay.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I would not mind if they gender bent the role.
Yeah, because Charlize Theron is a badass.
Exactly. Neil Poling gave the answer of Anthony Anderson or Donnie Yen.
And those are interesting answers. Anthony Anderson is primarily a comedy actor.
Yeah, he's on Blackish.
And he has played serious roles, like in The Departed and stuff. I have a hard time viewing him in this role, though. The other answer, Donnie Yen, I see a little bit more in this role, but only if he gets to do sweet martial arts action, too.
With the flamethrower. Yes,
yeah.
Please.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Darian Sykes gave the answer of Walton Goggins.
And that was the actor who played Sonny Birch in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I would really love to see him redeem himself, because I wasn't the hugest fan of his work in the Ant-Man movie, as you guys know, if you listen to that review. But I do think that he's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, I think he could pull off crazy pretty well, like maniacal.
Yeah. Honorable mention goes to Irani Gami from Instagram, who gave the answer of Daniel Craig. And he even went so far as to write kind of like a backstory for the character, citing that this version of Firefly is actually like a rival billionaire. So someone that you could almost see playing Batman, but who takes a different approach to his costume and tech.
And that would almost make sense, because you'd have to imagine that the Firefly tech is pretty expensive. It's like, if Firefly could have that tech, why doesn't Batman?
The flight tech?
Yeah.
Right?
That was a good answer. I liked it. I liked the idea behind it. Mm-hmm. Son of Farhumand gave the answer of Dane DeHaan.
Yeah, and that was the actor that played Harry Osborn in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And he's been in a bunch of great films that I enjoyed, like Chronicle.
He was in Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
Yeah.
He's a really good actor. I like him.
Yeah, I thought he was a better Harry Osborn than he was Green Goblin. But I think he could also redeem himself with this role as well.
He just has like a darkness about him that he brings to his roles. Mm-hmm. Honorable mention goes to Salvador Martinez, who gave the answer of Tessa Thompson.
And she's the actress who plays Valkyrie in the Thor movies and the Avengers movies.
Yeah, she's pretty charming.
Yeah.
You know? If she played a bad guy, she would just be super likable. I don't know.
I think Charlize would overall be better. Honorable mention goes to Adam Spees, who gave the answer of Ben Foster. Of course, Ben Foster. He played Warren Worthington III in X-Men 3, as well as Specker Dave in the Thomas Jane Punisher movie. He's a great character actor, been in a lot of great movies, and I think he would be absolutely perfect for this role, honestly. I'd be hard-pressed to find a better actor.
John Spees, Adam's brother and co-host of the Blast from Our Past podcast, check it out, gave the answer of Alan Tudyk. And yes, cast him in everything. He, of course, is Mr. Nobody in the Doom Patrol series, and he's voicing the Joker in the Harley Quinn animated series as well.
And he had a role in the DC Powerless show that was on air a couple years ago for like 8 episodes.
Yeah, it was too short.
Honorable mention goes to Calvin John Della Merced for his answer of Nicolas Cage. I fucking love this answer. Like, I know a lot of people that hate Nicolas Cage. I don't personally hate him. I don't think he's the greatest actor in the world because he tries a little bit too hard. That's kind of what I like about him. You don't see a whole lot of actors doing what he does. And when you have a role like this, Firefly, where you can kind of go over the top with it, I think he suits that vibe pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, to be a pyromaniac like Firefly, you have to be kind of out there.
Yeah.
So why not Nicolas Cage?
And Calvin even mentioned that Nicolas Cage can accidentally light his skull ablaze in homage to his Johnny Blaze role.
We don't need that. Caleb Albers gave the answer of Doug Jones or Hugo Weaving, because both of them can really deliver a performance behind a mask.
Oh, yeah.
Which, of course, Firefly probably most likely will be wearing.
Yeah, and Hugo Weaving proved that with his performance in V for Vendetta, playing the character V.
And Doug Jones did the performance work for Abe Sapien in the Hellboy films.
And he also played the Silver Surfer in Rise of the Silver Surfer.
That's right, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't do the voice work in those, but he did the physical performance.
Right.
Brian Reynolds gave the answer of Will Poulter.
He played in, he was in Midsommar most recently. He was in We Are the Millers. He was the son in that movie. He's kind of a brilliant actor, actually, in the stuff that I've seen him in. He's young, but he also has that like slightly crazy vibe going about him.
Yeah.
And the final honorable mention goes to Shannon Sanderson, who gave the answer of Shia LaBeouf.
And I kind of love that answer. That's like my number 2 answer.
Because he's kind of making a comeback now, huh?
Yeah, there's like a renaissance.
Is that what they're saying?
I don't know. They're saying it now.
I really liked him in Fury. I heard that the Peanut Butter Falcon movie that just came out is really good.
I heard Honey Boy was good.
He's grown beyond, the Transformers years.
Yeah, but I also think he would sort of bring the intensity needed for this role as well. Mm-hmm. But not as much as the winning answer, which was given by Robert Marlowe. His choice for Firefly was Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. Bitch!
Right. I just want to hear him call Batman a bitch.
I loved El Camino. If you guys haven't seen El Camino on Netflix yet,
I haven't seen it.
See the entirety of Breaking Bad first.
Right.
Because then you're not going to get it. But then watch El Camino. It was a really good film.
Yeah, he played the main bad guy in Central Intelligence, and I thought he did a pretty decent job in that movie. And while the character of Firefly wouldn't be nearly as comedic, I think Aaron Paul can pretty much nail all the traits that are required for that character.
Exactly. I would totally want to see him go toe-to-toe with Robert Pattinson's Batman. I think that would be, like, super intense. Please let it be Aaron Paul. Gosh.
These are really great answers, all of these.
Yeah.
They all could have won the award. But congratulations to Robert Marlowe. Fantastic answer. Job well done for beating all of these other amazing answers. You win this week's No Prize. If you, the listener, want to win your own No Prize, go ahead and stay tuned to later on this episode when we ask another question of the week. With that out of the way,
on to the news. So Friday of last week, The Joker officially became the first R-rated movie in history to earn over $1 billion at the global box office.
Damn inflation.
Well, yeah. But also, it's an impressive feat. It's the most profitable comic book film ever made. Now, I know a lot of fans are like, what? Isn't Endgame like the most profitable film ever made?
Well, it made more in terms of profit.
But I think what a lot of people don't realize is the way studios calculate profit is their return on investment. They spend money to make money. And in the case of the Joker, for every dollar they spent, as of right now, they make over $16. Now, when it came to Avengers Endgame, of course, they filmed that back-to-back with Infinity War, but the estimated budget for the film was $356 million. That's just a rumor. It may have actually been higher than that. But that means that for every dollar Disney spent, they got back just over $7.
Hey, I'll take it. I'd rather make a movie like Avengers Endgame than a movie like The Joker.
Just because it's, like, fun?
Because it was fucking awesome. And Joker was, I wouldn't call it fucking awesome. I would just say, oh, that's an interesting art house film.
A fucking masterpiece? Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay, whatever.
Because I'd rather make the masterpiece.
To each his own.
This makes it the 4th DC film to cross the $1 billion mark. Now, I know that's not a lot compared to Marvel.
Nah.
But I guarantee you this means that they're talking about a sequel.
For The Joker?
Yeah. This past week, both Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix have both kind of said, yeah, totally, I would totally make a sequel now.
Well, how would you do it, considering that they're going to start filming the Batman here soon, and you'll have competing Batman universes?
This all brings us to our question of the week. What would a sequel to The Joker be about? And would it tie into a larger DC universe?
We should get some interesting answers for this one. Go ahead and post your answer to our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or email us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. We'll pick our favorite answer and draw that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to social media.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to your answers on this one.
In other news, the Disney Plus app launched last Tuesday, and I've been binging it almost every day. I think I'm an addict. This is my first step admitting it to you guys.
A lot of people have been saying that they're overwhelmed by it.
It is a ridiculous amount of fantastic content to watch. Kind of thinking about getting rid of Netflix because honestly, I don't really need it anymore, I don't think, now that I have all this stuff open to me on Disney Plus. And it's not just the Marvel content. The Star Wars, the National Geographic, the Pixar stuff, the Disney movies, it's all there. I definitely won't be getting rid of Hulu though, because I've heard that Marvel's planning on putting their R-rated content on that platform, like the Deadpool movies and anything else that they come out that's mature.
That's smart, since there is no adult content on Disney Plus.
Right. Now, I own all the Marvel movies already, so that was a little bit redundant, but I'm really excited to see that all the Marvel cartoons are on the platform, including the 90s X-Men cartoon, the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, the 90s Fantastic Four cartoon, the 90s Iron Man cartoon, the 90s Silver Surfer cartoon. All the damn cartoons are on there.
It sounds like DC Universe.
Yeah, kind of. If you were to take just that channel within the Disney Plus app and pair it with the Marvel Unlimited app, you would have DC Universe, essentially. And I think that's what DC is going to end up doing with their HBO Max stuff. I think they're going to convert DC Universe to just a comic book application and put all their other video content on HBO Max.
I kind of hope they don't do that because DC Universe is kind of expensive for just a comic subscription platform on its own.
Well, they would probably lower that price and then bundle it with an HBO Max for interested buyers.
I would be down for that. Absolutely.
And of course, that's all just speculation on my part. But it would make sense for them to do that.
Now, Disney Plus, there's no new Marvel content on there yet, right?
Well, they did have one exclusive deleted scene for Avengers Endgame, and it's a scene where Tony Stark meets his daughter, I think in the Soul Stone, which doesn't really make sense to me how that works out.
Because his daughter's not dead.
Because his daughter's not dead, she wasn't sucked into the Soul Stone. It also makes me wonder why the Hulk wasn't able to speak to, like, Natasha when he snapped his fingers to bring everybody back from the original blip.
That is weird.
My original idea was that Thanos got to speak to Gamora because her soul was taken by the Soul Stone, and that's how he acquired it. And really, I'm just assuming that it is the Soul Stone that they're speaking into in Soul World.
Because it's orange.
Right, it's orange. It would make sense. Otherwise, I have no idea what the hell's going on. But if it is the Soul Stone, which I highly suspect it is, I'm not clear why the daughter's there. I also wasn't a huge fan of the scene in general. Like, the dialogue was just a little lame, a little bit slow, and it would have really bogged the movie down. I wasn't even really a huge fan of their performances in it either. There's a reason why this scene was not in the movie. And while it was touching to see Robert Downey Jr. in the role one last time, ultimately I think that was the only thing I enjoyed about it.
I heard people like cried after seeing
Those
this.
people are babies.
I'll have to check it out. I have your password. So I've just been watching all the Disney stuff because I have daughters. They stay clear of the Marvel stuff. They know better.
Should set up parental controls so they can't see the Marvel stuff.
Exactly. We got a new trailer for the Harley Quinn animated series, and I believe this is the last trailer because the show debuts at the end of this month on November 29th. Now, the trailer itself sets up a little bit more of the story, I think, of the season than past trailers. The other trailers have been just like kind of frenzied action and comedy bits. But this one, kind of explains how Harley Quinn is out to prove herself better than the Joker. And it's a good premise. It's the premise that a Harley Quinn animated series should have. I just don't think it was as interesting as the previous trailers. The trailer starts off with Joker and Harley Quinn fighting Batman, and we get to hear Alan Tudyk's Joker voice. Which, I mean, it's no Mark Hamill, but it's good. It's decent. I'm still a pretty big fan of Kelly Cuoco's take on Harley Quinn. Sounds like she's going to do a really good job with that character. The next scene involves Frank the Plant, who's being voiced by J.B. Smoove. And the guy's funny. I just didn't think this plant was funny. There's no way St. Bernard is going to take a crap on this massive plant. How could he? The plant is massive. But it looks like Frank the Plant, Poison Ivy, Dr. Psycho, who calls Wonder Woman the C word in this trailer, Clayface, and King Shark are all going to be a part of like Harley's villain squad. Just a group of like rejects that no one likes and no one wants to work with. It sounds like a funny premise.
And apparently they try to join the Legion of Doom.
Oh, I thought it was the Legion of Dildos.
That doesn't make sense.
I know, I didn't get the joke either in the trailer. That's what Poison Ivy says. I don't know. Bane is in the trailer. Someone's doing a pretty good impression of Tom Hardy's Bane voice from The Dark Knight Rises.
That was pretty good.
I thought that was good. Joker's like, she has HPV. And Bane's like, most sexually active adults do.
That was the best joke of the whole trailer.
I agree. There's a whole lot of ass kicking, a whole lot of blood. The trailer ends with Harley talking about her logo, which I didn't think was sold as well as the very first Comic-Con teaser that we got, I think, last year.
I don't even think it's that great of a logo. It's just a type treatment. Why do they keep talking about the logo?
Exactly. This week, Titan Season 2 ends, and Harley Quinn picks up next week. And I gotta say, I'm looking forward to it. Definitely be watching it day one.
It needs to be funny, otherwise it's not going to survive. It looks funny, to its credit, but again, these are just snippets that we've seen so far in these trailers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only show that's been renewed is Doom Patrol. No, actually, in Titans. Titans was renewed this past week for season 3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's good news to hear.
But I think that does it for all the news this episode. Let's go ahead and get into our main event, where we find out who would win in a fight between the Titans and the X-Men.
Alright, so let's get into our big episode 150 team match. Titans versus the X-Men. We knew we wanted to do an X-Men match for episode 150 because next to the Avengers, Marvel's next biggest team is probably the X-Men.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And when it came time to deciding who I was going to pit against the X-Men, it was always the Titans. Because in the 80s, the Teen Titans and the X-Men books pretty much went head to head.
Yeah, for a long time as the best-selling comic book of that era.
Right.
They even had a crossover event where the Titans fought alongside the X-Men against Darkseid and the Dark Phoenix.
And Deathstroke.
And the teams, if you look at them like stats-wise, are pretty comparable in terms of their power levels. You know, they're not the most powerful heroes out there, but they certainly can pack a punch, especially when they work together as a unit.
And that's sort of the magic of these teams, I think. You know, where characters on the Justice League are like all powerful, they could do all these things. The Titans and the X-Men are definitely like specialized, each one of them. And they have to work together, like you mentioned, as a cohesive unit, as a team, to get stuff done.
Yeah, so I think it'll be a great matchup. If you guys have never listened to one of our Duel episodes before, the way we find out who would win in a fight is through statistics. Now, we take statistics for each character based off of the Marvel Power Rankings grid, from which we add a few other stats just to make a more robust simulation, and we use that criteria to extrapolate the DC character's stats. And we run those numbers through what's called a Monte Carlo simulation, which treats the stat number as an actual average of their possible stats. It randomizes the number along a bell curve, so you get variations on the stat number, with rare deviations happening the further you get away from that base stat.
And that accounts for all the different variables these characters will undergo in these battle simulations.
Right. Normally, we just run sets of data because it's two characters facing off against each other and we compare them 1,000 times. This time, though, we account for every character fighting against every other character, fighting against every other character. So it's matrices of data that we pool and average, and from there we get a percentage of wins for each team as a whole.
Right, so there's no fan votes, no uncharacteristic feats of strength. It's just all stats.
It's a very mathematical approach because we figured that was the best way to eliminate any bias in determining who would win. Jonathan and I are both very heavily biased for our respective allegiances, and this was the only way we could prevent ourselves from coming to blows over these questions.
Yeah, it was inspired by the old Spike television series Deadliest Warrior, in which they also used the Monte Carlo method to figure who would win between ancient warrior cultures like ninjas and Spartans. Before we run the simulations, we like to give a breakdown of each character's history and powers, just in case anyone's not familiar with them. In the case of these team episodes, we break down the history of the teams themselves and then reveal which roster we'll be using.
Right. So I think it's your turn to go first, so go ahead and let us know all about the history of the Titans.
So in 1940, DC Comics introduced comics' first teenage sidekick in Robin, real name Dick Grayson, who you could learn more about in our Nightwing vs. Daredevil episode. The introduction of the character attracted new, younger readers to Batman titles, but it wasn't until the Silver Age of comics when DC caught on and started making new sidekicks for some of their other popular superheroes. Two of these other sidekicks, Kid Flash, aka Wally West, and Aqualad, first joined forces with Robin in a 1964 issue of The Brave and the Bold to take on the weather-manipulating villain, Mr. Twister. Upon Mr. Twister's defeat, the three sidekicks decided they should form their own super team, like the Justice League, an idea which their three mentors, Batman, the Flash, and Aquaman, supported. The sidekicks were joined in their next adventure by Wonder Woman's protege, Wonder Girl, aka Donna Troy, who you can learn more about in our Donna Troy vs. She-Hulk episode. Donna was the one who gave them the team name of the Teen Titans, which soon attracted another sidekick, Speedy, the teen archer mentored by Green Arrow, and who was only a part-time member of the team initially. Eventually, the Teen Titans established headquarters in a former Wayne Enterprises storage warehouse, which they dubbed the Titans' Lair. During their adventures, the team met a millionaire industrialist named Lauren Jupiter, who funded the team under a government training program designed to help teenage metahumans. While working for Jupiter, his psychic assistant Lilith and a boxer named Mel Duncan, each of whom would later be known as Omen and Vox respectively, joined the Teen Titans along with the heroes Hawk and Dove, as well as the time-displaced caveman named Narc.
What?
Narc. Dick Grayson was the lone Titan to not join Jupiter's program, as he left the team to attend college. Around that same time, MacLeod took a leave of absence from the team, though he occasionally joined them later on missions with his girlfriend, Aquagirl. Despite the team's growing ranks, including the addition of Bumblebee, Batgirl, and the Golden Eagle, as well as a West Coast offshoot dubbed Titans West, the teams disbanded after the original members felt they had outgrown the team and went their separate ways. It wasn't until 1980 and the introduction of the character Raven, who you can learn more about in our Raven vs. Phoenix episode, that brought some of the original Teen Titans members back together, specifically Kid Flash, Robin, and Wonder Girl, with the new characters of Cyborg and Starfire, and the Doom Patrol's Beast Boy, all of whom you can learn more about in their respective Duel episodes. Raven brought the team together to battle the oncoming threat of her father, the powerful demon Trigon, though the team would also face villains such as Deathstroke, Dr. Light, and Brother Blood, as well as face the betrayal of their teammate Terra in the Judas Contract storyline. Terra was the psychopathic and illegitimate daughter of the King of Markovia. She had the powers of geokinesis, allowing her to manipulate the ground, and was taken in by Deathstroke after she could no longer stay in her country. Unbeknownst to the Teen Titans, Deathstroke used Terra over the years to infiltrate the team as part of a contract with the villainous organization Hive. Terra's eventual membership to the Teen Titans came easily after she won the heart of Beast Boy, who was actually called Changeling at the time. She filled in the spot left by Dick Grayson, who had recently given up his Robin identity and resigned from the team. After stealing all of the intelligence from the team's Titans Tower headquarters in New York City, Terra delivered it to Deathstroke, who used it to systematically kidnap each of the Titans individually, save for Dick Grayson, who stumbled on Deathstroke's past, plot, and Terra's betrayal. Realizing he could never truly retire from superheroics, it was during this storyline that Dick Grayson first donned the Nightwing costume and mantle. Nightwing led Deathstroke's son Joey in the rescue of his teammates from Hive's Rocky Mountain base. Joey, a mute, was newly christened as the hero Jericho, capable of possessing others through eye contact, an ability he used against his father in the rescue. Terra, in a fit of rage, caused an avalanche in an attempt to kill everyone, including herself. Despite Beast Boy trying to save her, as he believed she wasn't psychotic but rather brainwashed by Deathstroke, Terra was the only one who died in the debris. Terra's body was given to her half-brother, the superhero prince of Markovia known as Geoforce, who was told by the Teen Titans that Terra died heroically against Hive. Jericho joined the team, replacing Wally West, who had retired, though Jericho's tenure wasn't long. During the Titans Hunt storyline, he became possessed by the demonically tainted spirits of Azarath when they couldn't possess Raven, and Deathstroke was forced to kill his son. Cyborg was destroyed, and Raven also died during the Titans Hunt storyline, while Deathstroke, surprisingly, joined the Teen Titans. Speedy also returned to the team under his new mantle of Arsenal. With the eventual departure of Nightwing, Arsenal took over leadership of the Teen Titans, which operated out of its Liberty Island headquarters and acted under the direction of the US government. Arsenal's team roster included the Green Lantern Kyle Rayner and Supergirl. When the JLA called upon their former sidekicks to help during the Technis Imperative storyline, Nightwing, Donna Troy, Arsenal, MacLeod, now known as Tempest, The Flash, Starfire, Beast Boy, and a rebuilt Cyborg formed a new team known as the Titans, along with the newer heroes Damage and Argent. The hero Jesse Quick soon replaced Flash on the team, while a new generation of sidekicks consisting of Tim Drake, the new Robin, Superboy, Impulse, and the new Wonder Girl formed a new teen team known as Young Justice. I won't talk too much about these characters since, in my opinion, Young Justice is very much a separate team from the Titans, and I may talk about them in a future Team Duel episode.
Okay, sounds good. We could put them against like Young Avengers or something.
Exactly. Both the Titans and Young Justice teams came to an end during the Graduation Day crossover storyline, in which Donna Troy and Omen both died at the hands of a Brainiac avatar known as Indigo. Cyborg, Starfire, and Beast Boy went on to mentor former Young Justice team members in the new Teen Titans team, while Nightwing and Arsenal formed a new incarnation of Batman's old clandestine team, the Outsiders. Raven was resurrected by Brother Blood not long after and was rescued by the Teen Titans. In 2008, Nightwing, The Flash, Donna Troy, Beast Boy, Cyborg, Raven, Starfire, and Arsenal, now known as Red Arrow, reformed the Titans to fight the Sons of Trigon and eventually Raven herself after she succumbed to her father's evil influence. Jericho also returned during this time in the body of a Superboy clone and fought the team. After the New 52 reboot, the Titans team reformed with Nightwing, Donna Troy, Arsenal, Tempest, Lilith, Bumblebee, and the newly resurrected Wally West as the Flash as they investigated the alterations to the rebooted timeline. Raven, Beast Boy, Miss Martian, Steel, Natasha Irons, not her uncle John Henry Irons, from our episode with War Machine, and the Green Lantern Kyle Rayner also recently joined the Titans team. Now for this match, the roster I'm using is essentially the adult Titan versions of the new Teen Titans team from 1980.
Say that 5 times fast.
Namely, Nightwing, Donna Troy, Wally West as the Flash, Beast Boy, Raven, Cyborg, and Starfire. Most of them have been Titans off and on since the 80s, and it honestly never felt like a Titans team without these characters. You could maybe substitute the Flash with Arsenal or Tempest, but the Flash was not only a founding Teen Titans member who stayed with the team for a while, but with the return of Barry Allen, this is the team Wally West belongs on, and one he has consistently been a member of since Barry Allen's and his resurrections.
Yeah, that definitely says Titans to me. I feel like you had a much easier time picking your team than I did picking mine.
Oh, probably hands down.
There are way more than just 7 core X-Men characters out there. So hopefully people are pleased with it. But let me go ahead and get into the X-Men backstory. The X-Men are a unique superhero team in that despite the fact that they are heroes who have saved the Earth time and again, they are not adored, admired, or respected by the public. In fact, they are more often than not victims of prejudice by the population at large, hated and feared by the people they fight to protect. It's a tragic set of circumstances for mutants in the Marvel Universe, but their tenacity to continue fighting for peaceful coexistence with humans makes the X-Men perhaps the most honorable team in comic books, yet so much more than just martyrs for their cause. The X-Men's guiding principles were instilled by the team's founder, Professor Charles Xavier, a mutant with the secret power to read and control minds. An Oxford graduate and lifelong philanthropist, he eventually stumbled upon another mutant, his friend Eric Lensher, whom you can learn more about in our Sinestro vs. Magneto episode. The two worked together at a psychiatric hospital for Holocaust survivors and contemplated the effects of the evolving human race. Having suffered his whole life by others for being different, Eric foresaw war and death. More idealistic, Xavier hoped for a future of peaceful coexistence. But after a later encounter with a destructive, power-hungry mutant called the Shadow King, Xavier knew he was going to have to fight to protect his cause. He turned his family estate into an institute for young mutants called Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, where he would teach, protect, and guide students in the use of their burgeoning abilities. He instilled in his students his dream of human and mutant peace, and called them X-Men for their extra abilities. His first students and team were a group of teenagers codenamed Cyclops, who was the team leader, Marvel Girl, whose real name was Jean Grey, Beast, Iceman, and Angel. They trained extensively in the school's danger room, which taught them how to use their powers to deal with powerful threats. In their first field mission, the team fought against Xavier's old friend Eric, now known as Magneto, who had assembled his own group called the Brotherhood of Mutants to commit acts of terrorism against humans and fight for mutant superiority. Through the years, they protected people from villains such as the Juggernaut, who was Xavier's stepbrother, the Sentinels, which were giant mutant hunting robots, and the Savage Land Mutates, who were indigenous people from a tropical Antarctic jungle that were experimented on. The X-Men fought alongside and earned the respect of other superheroes such as the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man, though not the respect of the human population at large. Eventually, the team discovered an island called Krakoa that had gained sentience through radioactivity from nuclear testing. It captured the original team except for Cyclops, who escaped to recruit new mutants with Professor X to rescue them. This new team consisted of international mutants: Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, Thunderbird, Banshee, and Sunfire. This new team succeeded in rescuing the originals, and the X-Men's ranks grew. After a mission to an orbiting space station, the team thought Jean Grey died from radiation exposure. However, she was actually placed into a healing stasis and replaced on the team by a powerful cosmic entity called the Phoenix Force, who shared a bond with Jean and took on her appearance. After the apparent death of Cyclops at the hands of the elite group called Hellfire Club, the Phoenix Force went insane and destroyed an alien solar system. The X-Men had to defend whom they thought was Jean in a battle against the Shi'ar alien race that ended with the Phoenix Force destroyed. You can learn much more about this in our Raven vs. Phoenix Duel episode. After Kitty Pryde joined the team, alias Shadowcat, the X-Men were abducted by a parasitic alien race known as the Brood. Believing the team to be dead, Xavier recruited a new team of mutants known as the New Mutants, with members such as Magic, Cannonball, Wolfsbane, Sunspot, and Mirage. Upon the Brood's defeat and the X-Men's return home, their ranks continued growing with the addition of the former Brotherhood member Rogue, and even Magneto, who for a time had a change of heart. The mutants Havoc, Forge, Longshot, Dazzler, and Psylocke took the place of some members of the team after a battle against the Marauders, led by Mr. Sinister, took a heavy toll on the team. Gambit also joined after meeting Storm. The team eventually divided itself into a blue squad, primarily consisting of the original team led by Cyclops, and a gold squad, led by Storm. They joined together to fight against the likes of the Shadow King, Cable's clone Strife, the ancient mutant Apocalypse, and the psychic entity known as Onslaught, who was a manifestation of Magneto's hatred and Xavier's repressed negativity. For that fight, the X-Men were joined by the rest of Marvel's heroes in order to save the planet. After the battle, anti-mutant hysteria was at an all-time high due to the supposed death of many of Earth's heroes. But the X-Men continued growing their ranks, adding Bishop, and they fought against newly advanced Prime Sentinels, Mystique's Brotherhood of Mutants, and even Professor X's twin sister Cassandra Nova, who was thought to be deceased. She managed to inhabit her brother's mind and reveal the status of the Xavier Institute as a mutant school and training facility to the world at large.
Oh, jeez.
She was defeated, and Xavier used the publicity to create the X Corporation, an organization with headquarters around the world that would provide resources to mutants in need. With the school publicly open to any and all mutants, a crop of bad students such as Kid Omega and Zorn started causing trouble for the X-Men, including killing Jean Grey. With the student uprising suppressed, Cyclops reformed the team as the Astonishing X-Men with an eye for improving mutants' public image. However, it didn't last long as the events of M-Day, when the manipulated and mad Scarlet Witch wiped out the powers of a vast majority of Earth's mutant population. With the mutant race nearly extinct, all hell broke loose when the first mutant after M-Day was born, with some groups looking to study her, some to kill her, and some, including the X-Men, to protect her. Cable ended up taking the child into the future to raise her and named her Hope Summers. She and Cable returned to the present, and Hope used the power of the returned Phoenix Force to restore the powers of mutants around the world, with the help of the rehabilitated Scarlet Witch at the end of the Avengers vs. X-Men storyline. By this point, the X-Men had relocated from the destroyed Xavier's mansion to a base off the coast of San Francisco called Utopia. The reactivation of the Sentinel program by the United Nations caused Cyclops to become increasingly frustrated with the treatment of mutants around the world and adopted a more extreme activist philosophy. This led to a schism within the X-Men, where half the team sided with Cyclops and half sided with Wolverine, who relocated his faction to the rebuilt X-Mansion, which he renamed Jean Grey's School for Higher Learning. During an attack by Thanos on the Inhuman base of Attilan, the Inhuman King Black Bolt released the transformative Terrigen mists into Earth's atmosphere in an attempt to awaken the powers of the planet's potential Inhumans. You can learn more about this in our Shazam vs. Black Bolt episode. These mists proved to be hazardous to mutants, however, and started inflicting mutants around the world with a fatal disease dubbed Mpox. This led to the X-Men vs. Inhumans war, which ended with the destruction of the Terrigen Cloud by the Inhuman Queen, Medusa. In the aftermath of the war, the team reformed and relocated to a new base in Central Park, and then to their current location on the sentient island of Krakoa, which is currently being explored in the X-Men comics. That's their history. For this duel, I wanted to go with 7 X-Men characters that are mainstays of the team and represent several of the generations that have come along. This was definitely harder than picking my Avengers team, because there are so many X-Men, which is why it often has to be split up into blue and gold factions.
And red, recently.
Yeah, red too. Obviously, I started with Cyclops, an original X-Men, and often its leader. I also chose the original member Jean Grey, whom I'll call Phoenix during this match, but won't have the powers of the Phoenix Force, just her telepathy and telekinesis, which she had in our Raven vs. Phoenix duel episode. With those 2 pillars in place, I added Storm and Wolverine, who were part of the second generation of X-Men and have often been team leaders themselves. Rogue came later to the team chronologically, but she's also led the X-Men, and I consider her quintessential and a powerful wild card for this matchup.
Yeah, she's probably the one I'm most afraid of.
Yeah, you should be. The final 2 spots were hard to fill. I considered Beast, but felt that Colossus offered a similar but more powerful power set. And lastly, I went with Nightcrawler because I think his speed and transportational ability will serve useful in the battle. It was a hard choice, and like the Justice League vs. Avengers duel, if or when we revisit this match, I can easily form a B team with the characters I didn't use here because there are so many great X-Men characters.
Like Gambit,
Iceman, Archangel, Beast, Psylocke,
Shadowcat.
a whole bunch of them. I think both of the teams that we chose are fairly representative of the overall teams at large.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think they pair up pretty well in terms of their power levels. So I think it'll be a pretty well-balanced fight.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. Wouldn't want you to get trounced too badly.
So we went over the histories of the teams, but you can find out the histories of each character that we're using in this match in a previous duel episode. Now, before we run the simulations, Jonathan and I like to go over kind of an improvised speculative battle detailing how we think a matchup between the teams would actually go.
Yeah, 1 out of the 1,000 simulations that we're going to run. We don't set any rules for these matches other than the fact that the characters don't know anything about each other going into this battle. They only know that the other side is a threat that they need to put down.
Right. And they can use whatever means necessary to do so. And in that regard, sometimes these characters come off as a little bit more lethal than they probably would in the comics, but, they're fighting for their survival here. So they often resort to drastic measures.
Another rule is that the environment does not play a factor in the speculation or stats in any way.
Right, because the environment can give an advantage to certain characters over others, and since we don't account for the environment within the statistics, we have to say that each character has to win on their own merits without any outside environmental help.
Right, it's just a nondescript battlefield location that they're fighting in.
Right. All right, let's go ahead and get into it then. The teams meet on opposite sides of the battlefield, about 50 yards apart. The groups are there, they face each other, they're ready to get down to business. Who goes first? Nightcrawler!
Why?
Because you all know that you're going to say the fastest one goes first.
I was just about to say the Flash.
Yeah, exactly. We've already been through this. I'm going to say Nightcrawler goes first this time.
Okay.
So what Nightcrawler does is he grabs Cyclops and he teleports on the opposite side of the Titans team, and Cyclops lets loose a huge optic blast, like a big wide beam that shoots every member of the Titans in the back and just scatters them across the field.
Okay, so the whole team is pretty much stunned from the attack they just went through. So the Flash will react first, obviously, because he's the fastest. So he's gonna run really fast over to Cyclops and just rip off his visor, because that's probably where he thinks the power comes from.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, how would he know to rip off the visor? But yeah, he might think he's like a cyborg and that's his power source or something like that, right?
Right.
Okay. Shit. All right. So Cyclops can't really use his optic blast safely at this point because he might, injure one of his own teammates.
Right.
So his eyes are closed, and he communicates with Jean through his mental link that he is now blinded, and Phoenix communicates to Nightcrawler that he needs to get that damn visor back. So as the Flash is zipping around whatever he's doing, Nightcrawler is chasing him, trying to get the visor back.
Okay. Meanwhile, I think Starfire, she's pretty hot-headed, right? And she's gonna fly up and circle around the X-Men team in the air and just start blasting them with her star bolts.
All right, so the X-Men group is dodging these laser beams that are being fired at them by Starfire. Storm retaliates by flying up into the air and blasting Starfire with lightning.
Okay, so she probably knocks Starfire out of the air.
That's the price you get for being hot-headed. So Storm zaps her again and just electrocutes her.
Okay, while Storm is busy blasting Starfire on the ground, Donna Troy jumps in and blocks the lightning with her bracelets.
So meanwhile, while that's happening, Phoenix is doing a mental scan of all the Titans on the field, getting readouts of what their powers are and everything like that.
I know.
And she's feeding that information to the X-Men.
Okay, but Raven senses that her team is being scanned mentally by a telepath and realizes that there's another psychic on the field.
Okay.
So she recognizes that that's coming from Phoenix. So she sends her soul self into Phoenix and just fills her with like all the psychic anguish.
Okay. So Phoenix is like undergoing this psychic turmoil from this demonic entity pretty much.
Yeah.
And so she kind of like faints to the ground and just tries to fight back against the psychic attack. Meanwhile, the X-Men have pretty much, all the info they need about the Titans at this point because Phoenix was able to get it to them in time. Wolverine jumps up into Colossus's arms. Colossus reaches back and hurls Wolverine in a fastball special directly at Cyborg.
Okay, but no, as like Wolverine is approaching through the air, Cyborg's like calculating the trajectory and the velocity and stuff like that, and he fires up his cannon, and he fires just enough amount of sonic energy, which causes Wolverine to fall just short of his goal. He lands right down in front of Cyborg, at which point Cyborg follows up with a punch right to the back of his head.
All right, so Wolverine's face gets smashed into the ground.
Yeah.
But what Cyborg didn't see is that as soon as Colossus fastball specialed Wolverine, Rogue picked up Colossus and fastball specialed him.
What the heck?
Right behind Wolverine. So Cyborg slammed Wolverine down to the ground, looks up, and then pow, gets slammed by Colossus.
Okay.
He got 2 fastball specials thrown at him. Cyborg just goes flying back on his ass.
Okay, but Nightwing saw this whole thing like happen in front of him. And he sees that Colossus and Wolverine are right next to each other, so he figures he could take out 2 birds with 1 stone. So he takes out like a sticky, explosive wing ding, his batarang.
Okay.
And he hurls it over to Colossus's back, and it just explodes, sending Colossus and Wolverine flying apart from each other.
I don't think an explosive wingding would do a whole lot of damage to Colossus. Like, it'll push him forward a little bit. Wolverine might do a little bit more damage, but he's going to heal from that. Meanwhile, Storm is still fighting Starfire and Donna Troy. What she does is she creates this massive tornado in the battlefield, and she just sucks Donna Troy and Starfire up in it, so they're spinning around.
The Flash, he's still running around the stage, trying to like evade Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
He sees what's going on with the tornado, so he just zips over to it and starts running in the opposite direction of the tornado spin, preventing it from like fully forming. So Donna Troy and Starfire are, back in the air flying, and that's when they both fly straight towards Storm and just punch her at the same time.
But right before they could punch her, Nightcrawler, who's been following the Flash this whole time, sees what's going on. He saw the Flash stop the tornado. He sees that Storm is about to get hit, so he teleports and rescues her right before Starfire and Donna Troy make contact.
Dang it! I don't think I've done anything with Beast Boy yet.
No, I don't think you have.
So he sees Cyclops like walking around with his hands in front of him going like, oh, what's going on? I'm blind, I can't see. So he's a rhino, and he's just charging towards Cyclops, and Cyclops is like, is that a sound of a rhino charging? And right when he says that, pow, he gets trampled by the rhino.
Right before the rhino makes contact with Scott,
Yeah?
the rhino stops dead in its tracks because Rogue is pulling its tail from behind. She saw what was about to happen, and she saved Scott from getting impaled and trampled.
Oh, jeez.
And she throws the Rhino Beast Boy up into the air and tells Cyclops to pull, basically, like look up and shoot. So he looks up and he fires, and he just blasts the Rhino.
Damn it!
While he's in the air, sending him flying backward.
Awesome. All right.
And I should have mentioned that as Rogue was holding onto Beast Boy's tail, she was kind of draining him of some of his power energy.
Oh, shit.
So Rogue now has the ability to change into an animal.
Yeah, for like 5 seconds.
And more like 5 minutes if she held on for 5 seconds.
Okay, but during this time, Cyborg has been doing like technical scans of all the X-Men on the battlefield,
Oh my
okay?
God. Okay.
And he's communicating the vitals and stats of the X-Men to his team.
Okay, and what do they get from that information?
Well, one of the things is that Wolverine has a metal skeleton.
Okay.
So Nightwing takes advantage of that again, and he hurls an electric wingding into Wolverine, like electrocuting him. Adamantium is a conductor,
Wolverine
right?
hasn't done shit this whole match yet. He just keeps getting sonic cannoned and exploded and electrocuted. All right, but now Phoenix is done like purging the psychic attack that she was going through. And she gets a quick read of the situation on the field again. And the first thing that she does is she stops Flash from running around dead in his tracks. Okay. And she telekinetically grabs the visor from his hand and she sends it over to Cyclops, putting it back onto his face.
Uh-huh.
And as soon as Cyclops has back on the ruby quartz, he aims for Raven, since he now knows that she was the one that telepathically attacked Phoenix.
Uh-huh.
So he blasts Raven and just like knocks her away.
Okay, by this time, Beast Boy has flown back into, like, the field of play.
Okay.
Really fast as a Peregrine Falcon. They fly really fast.
Uh-huh.
And he sees Storm, so he, like, dive bombs her, like, really fast. And just, like, uses his, like, razor-sharp talons to scratch the shit out of her.
Okay, so Storm, I mean, it's a bird. She starts, like, using her winds to blow him away, and she starts, like, shooting lightning blasts at him, trying to blast him out of the air.
Okay, but as she starts with the lightning, he transforms into an electric eel. All right, and just lands on her, and then uses her own electricity that he's absorbed as an eel on her, and electrocutes the shit out of her.
Can eels do that?
I think so.
Can they even breathe out of water?
Long enough to do this, yes.
All right. Okay, so Storm is electrocuted.
And as she's stunned, he turns into like this long-ass like python snake, wraps around her, and pythons are poisonous, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, he turns into a big-ass snake that is poisonous. And then he bites her, like, right in the neck.
Okay, so she's poisoned now?
Yep. She can't do shit about it either.
Oh my god. Didn't we say in our Beast Boy versus Beast duel that, like, the strongest animal poison still takes, like, 15 minutes to an hour to go through the human bloodstream?
Well, Black Mamba bite only takes, like, 20 minutes. And that's, like, the most poisonous snake. So, yeah, that's what he was. He was a Black Mamba.
All right, so she's not feeling great. She's going to do her best to do as much as she can while she's still around.
She better.
So she knows that she has to make her last few minutes count. Black Mambas aren't big enough to bind anyone. So she freaking picks the thing up and she throws it. She just fucking hurls him. And she decides that she's going to create like one of the biggest storms that she's ever created. We're talking like hurricane force winds with these massive hailstones, and just starts like pelting the field.
Okay, well, she's hitting her own team then, too.
No, because Jean is putting a telekinetic force field around each member of her team.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the Titans that are getting pelted by these winds and this rain and this hail, and they're just not having a great time.
I don't think that'll do much against, like, Donna Troy or Cyborg.
Okay, but, you know, still annoying.
And I'm pretty sure, like, Flash just, like, weaves in between all the hailstones. But that might slow him down for a little bit. So, as all of these hailstones are falling, all of a sudden they freeze in midair, okay? And they're
What?
like enveloped in this black energy. Raven has captured almost all of them telekinetically, okay?
All right.
And she hurls them at Storm, just like pretty much killing her. I'm pretty sure.
Wait, a storm out of this now?
I think that's a safe bet.
All right, well, I mean, she was on her way out anyway. Okay, all right, so Storm is the first to fall. That's weird, but Rogue saw this happening. She saw Raven doing this. So as soon as Storm falls, Rogue's hands are on Raven, and she's draining her of her energy.
Oh, jeez. Rogue was like the one person I was afraid of in this entire match.
Yeah, like she has Raven in a headlock, and she's just absorbing all of her power and memories.
She's a lot stronger than Raven.
Yeah.
Okay, but as Raven is being drained, she like calls out to her other teammates like psychically in anguish, just in pain. And Donna Troy answers the call.
Okay.
As Rogue is draining Raven, a lasso wraps around her neck, and she just gets yanked really fucking hard by Donna Troy. And she's just slammed into the ground.
Good save. That was a pretty good save. Meanwhile, Wolverine's stabbing the shit out of Nightwing.
What? Why?
Because he can, and because he was pissed off because he electrocuted him earlier.
That's right. Well, I mean, Nightwing is super agile. Wolverine is trying to stab him.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so they're fighting, and Nightwing probably pulls out his bow staff and tries to parry Wolverine's attacks, but Wolverine's claws just go right through that bow staff.
Okay, but they won't go through a sonic grenade that Nightwing pulls out.
All a sonic grenade is going to do against Wolverine is just piss him the fuck off. So now you just put him into Berserker Rage mode, and he just freaking stabs and destroys that sonic grenade. And now Nightwing is just really fucked.
Shit, I'm not sure how long he can dodge Wolverine. He's just like running away from it. But luckily, Nightwing's friends with the Flash, who rescues him.
Sure, run away, run away.
That's all I can do. While that's going on, Starfire is probably chasing Nightcrawler because she's pretty fast too. And she's just trying to blast him with her Starbolt. And eventually, she gets him.
All right, so Nightcrawler gets blasted. He's probably pretty hurt. She's probably going to press the attack and laser him again. So he teleports away. And the way he retaliates against Starfire is he teleports over to Colossus and teleports Colossus directly above Starfire's head. Okay? And uses him like an anvil, basically.
Yeah?
And Colossus drops onto Starfire, slamming her into the ground, and just starts wailing on her with his fists.
Jeez.
And the Starbolts aren't going to hurt Colossus because, he's like immune to high temperatures.
That might take Starfire out of this match.
I'm pretty sure it does. Starfire's gone.
Fine, whatever. Starfire's gone. Meanwhile, Cyborg is blasting Cyclops, okay?
You mean Cyclops and Cyborg are firing at each other and having their beams cancel each other out.
Because they're both forces.
Right. And Cyclops is turning up the power on his visor, and Cyborg is turning up the power on his sonic cannon.
Okay, but as they're blasting each other, Cyborg ejects two, little mini drones to go around the blasts and, dive into Cyclops and explode. Boom, drone strike.
Oh, they're just, dropping like flies now, or what? So Cyclops is probably out of this match.
That's right. Booyah!
Well, Phoenix sees this, and she just, telekinetically grabs Cyborg and just starts ripping off his metal pieces, his cybernetic pieces, until he's nothing left but just, what human parts are there of him left?
Like his heart and his brain?
Yeah, that's all that's left at this point. He freaking gets annihilated.
That's cold-blooded. That is, super harsh.
It's borderline evil, but you know what? She was the Dark Phoenix once, so...
Okay, well, that just happened. Meanwhile, Beast Boy is going up against Wolverine as an actual Wolverine. That's the one thing I wanted to do in this match.
An actual Wolverine animal would get annihilated by Wolverine.
You know how scary those things are? Wolverine knows not to fuck around with Wolverine.
His claws are way too sharp for that to even be a fair match.
Okay, well then he goes up against him as a T-Rex, and he just eats him.
Okay, well Wolverine heals from the T-Rex bite marks while in the T-Rex's mouth and starts slashing at the T-Rex while inside his head.
Oh shit, okay. Beast Boy transforms into an octopus, which is regenerative.
Okay.
Right? Okay, and he also wraps around Wolverine's arms and legs and stretches him out so he can't do anything. He's just restraining Wolverine. And Wolverine's just ah! And while Wolverine is restrained, Raven, she's gained enough of her power back to calm Wolverine down and takes away all of his anger.
Really?
He's like a little puppy dog now. At which point, Beast Boy transforms into a grizzly bear and just starts, tearing Wolverine to shreds.
Okay, but even though Wolverine's not angry, he's just not going to let himself be torn to shreds. And he has a healing factor, so, the bear scratches are not really going to do that much against him. You're going up against a guy who has Sabretooth as an enemy. So he just freaking cuts this grizzly bear's head off.
Why?
Beast Boy's dead now.
I don't think there was anything I could have done with Beast Boy against Wolverine.
Probably not.
That was a bad decision.
And Colossus sees what Raven did to Wolverine, calmed him down. So Colossus runs over to Raven and just cold clocks her right in the side of the head.
Okay, but I mean, Raven can sense him coming. And right as he's swinging his punch and it's about to hit her, she opens a portal and his fist goes into the portal. And then the other end opens right by Phoenix. And so Colossus just punches Phoenix right in the head. That takes her out.
Oh, that sucks. That's like scoring a goal against yourself. So Phoenix is out of the match now. She got taken out by Colossus.
Yeah, there's no way she could have seen that coming telepathically. And then right after that, Raven expands the portal and just sucks Colossus in entirely. So he's gone from the match too.
Except that Nightcrawler teleports into the dark dimension and brings him back to the field. Nightcrawler did have help with Rogue's new powers too, by the way.
From Raven?
Yeah. When he comes back, he teleports behind Raven and teleports her head clean off.
What the He can't do that.
He can't. He's
what
done
the
that
heck?
Yeah, he's done it to robots before. He can focus what he teleports along with him. Nightcrawler's a badass.
It's almost kind of fitting that the priest would take out the demon.
There you go.
Okay, but with all this teleporting, there's a lot of brimstone smoke all around, okay?
All right.
So Nightwing uses that darkness to his advantage.
Wait, Nightwing's still alive?
Yeah, dude.
How the hell did he make it this far?
Whatever. So Nightwing uses that darkness to his advantage to sneak up on Nightcrawler to inject him with this sedative that stops him from teleporting. And then and then he just snaps his neck for fun.
What? So much for that no kill policy, huh?
This is no holds barred action, man.
Okay. All right, Nightwing killed Nightcrawler and is a killer. And he feels guilty about it.
Barely.
Well, Colossus was nearby, so he saw this, and he just grabs Nightwing and breaks his back over his knee, Bane style. I don't know if he's dead or not, but he's certainly paralyzed. And no longer effective in this battle.
I think I only have 2 guys left. Like Flash and Donna Troy. How many do you have left?
I have Wolverine, Rogue, and Colossus still alive. Like the 3 hardest people to kill.
I'm pretty sure Donna Troy like choked out Rogue a long time ago.
No, because Rogue was able to escape the lasso of truth by using her newfound telekinesis powers.
From Raven. Okay, so Donna Troy is probably still going up against Rogue. But Rogue wasn't holding on to Raven that long. So by the time Nightcrawler comes back, Rogue's Raven powers are pretty much depleted.
Fair enough, okay.
So now it's mano a mano, Donna Troy against Rogue.
Okay, so Rogue just reaches out and grabs Donna Troy and starts draining her power.
Okay, you think it's that easy?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not draining her power through her gauntlets.
What?
Yeah, anytime Rogue reaches for her, she's just gonna block it with her gauntlet.
So Rogue keeps trying to grab Donna Troy, but her hands keep getting knocked aside by the silver bracelets.
If Donna Troy is fast enough to deflect bullets, she's fast enough to deflect hands reaching for her.
All right, okay, whatever.
Now, Donna also uses her, like, expert martial arts skills to pull out her lasso again, and as Rogue is, like, trying to reach for her, Donna Troy, like, ties her hands up using her lasso, and Rogue can't break out of this because it's magic. And then uses, like, the remaining rope to, like, go behind her and garrot her and just choke her out.
Damn it, I really wanted Rogue to take Donna Troy's powers, too. All right. Oh, man, it's too bad she didn't have Beast Boy's powers anymore, because she could have just shrunk down out of that.
Yeah, too bad.
All right. I shouldn't have agreed to the loss of those powers. Okay, well, it's going to take a while for Donna Troy to choke out Rogue. And as that's happening, guess who gets stabbed in the back by adamantium claws? Donna Troy by Wolverine.
Stab a woman in the back. Okay.
So now it's 2 against 1. Wolverine and Colossus against Flash. What are you going to do about that? Besides, evade for all eternity.
Well, there's that option. There's also the option of, like, Flash saw Wolverine kill Donna Troy. So he just, like, plows into him at super speed, knocking him back.
All right, that didn't really hurt him, but okay.
And then the Flash just runs around Wolverine in this barrage of punches and kicks.
Yeah, and then he runs into Wolverine's claws when Wolverine reaches out and slashes him.
Except that as the claws are about to touch Flash, he goes intangible, and the claws just go right through him.
What?
And as Wolverine is, like, stumbling forward with his slash, that's when the Flash vibrates his hand, plunges it into Wolverine's brain, and just, like, scrambles it, and disables his healing factor.
So the Flash killed Wolverine. I thought Wolverine was going to be, like, the last man standing here, but I guess it's Colossus. All right, so Colossus goes after the Flash.
Good luck with that. He moves so slow.
But all he needs to do is get in one good hit on the Flash, and Flash is down for the count.
I don't see that happening. The Flash could just do the same thing to Colossus that he did to Wolverine.
Except that Colossus's whole body is osmium steel. So I don't think the Flash could really rattle that around too much, because it's so durable. His brain is steel, his heart is steel, everything is organic steel.
His organs are steel?
Right, exactly.
Okay, well, I mean, the Flash realizes this at super speed. I'm honestly not sure what he's gonna do.
I don't know what Colossus is gonna do either. So it looks like we have a stalemate. But what we can do is go ahead and run the simulations on this team battle and find out stat-wise which of these teams came out on top.
Let's do it.
All right, hopefully that was sufficiently as epic as our Justice League versus Avengers matchup. I think it was. I think it went pretty well. It's always hard to keep track of so many different characters.
Right, yeah. I couldn't do it. It was really hard. But it was fun.
Yeah. So what did we learn by running the statistics? I think the first thing that I was surprised by is the huge variance in power levels between members of each team. Characters like Phoenix, Raven, and Rogue are so much more powerful than characters like Beast Boy and Nightcrawler.
Yes, surprisingly, Beast Boy consistently lost against every other character. He only won 18% of all of his matches, whereas Rogue surprisingly came out as the strongest.
Yeah, she totally annihilated these fools. She won 78.7% of her matches. And the way we determined her stats, since they are variable, is the same way that we did it in her match against Superboy, where we kind of averaged her starting stats with the peak stats of the character she's going up against.
Yeah, just as like a baseline of her potential.
Exactly. Because Rogue had insane potential throughout this entire match.
Because she's going up against some insanely powerful characters like Starfire, like Donna Troy, like Raven.
Right. Overall, just looking at the numbers, a lot of these totals are adding up to be comparable. So I still have no idea who's going to win.
Yeah, no, this is definitely going to be a coin toss match.
Yeah, because like Cyclops was comparable to Nightwing, Phoenix was comparable to Raven, Wolverine was comparable to Beast Boy, Storm was comparable to Starfire, Colossus was comparable to Cyborg, Nightcrawler to Flash, and Rogue to Donna Troy.
These rosters actually really paired nicely with each other.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that were like, oh, X-Men are way too powerful, and that may be the case for the entire X-Men team, but for these 7 characters that we chose respectively, we're pretty on point.
Yeah, a few people mentioned that to us. We ran polls on Twitter and Instagram asking people which team they thought was going to win, and 80% of people on Twitter said X-Men.
And 72% of people said X-Men would win on Instagram.
To which I have to respond, what are you guys doing? I was expecting something closer to 50%. I didn't think it would be that skewed in the X-Men's favor.
Well, those polls are kind of a popularity contest, and the X-Men are just so much cooler than the Titans, I have to say.
You don't even know how cool the Titans are.
Oh, I know.
Obviously.
I just heard you tell me how not cool they were.
Well, the next time, clean your ears, because these guys are awesome.
All right, are you ready to get the final results?
I'm actually really excited to learn who won.
Okay, all right. So we ran the simulations, got the final figures. Actually, before I give you the winner, I'm going to give you the percentage of wins that the winning team won by.
Okay.
So the winning percentage was 50.8.
Okay. Whoa.
It was insanely close. It means that this team won 508 battles over the other team, who won 492. It was pretty much a coin toss. It was insanely close.
Okay.
The winner is the X-Men.
Ah, no.
Yeah. We won. Marvel wins. Marvel's the best.
Don't forget who won.
DC loses forever.
Don't forget who won against the Avengers, asshole.
Oh, I haven't forgotten. And today is the day I got my revenge. Even though, it's not as much revenge as I would have liked, because I think the disparity between the Avengers and Justice League winning percentages was a lot greater.
Right.
This is still a win for the X-Men.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks, man. I needed this win. I needed it. I don't think I could have handled 2 team losses and been okay for the next 50 episodes. I would have been horribly depressed, as you must feel right now.
Yeah. I'm just going to have to wait 50 more weeks to kick your ass.
I think our next big team episode for episode 200 is going to pit the JSA against Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four and Friends, I should say.
Yeah, that's the plan right now. We'll see if that changes. And maybe Doom Patrol against Fantastic Four. Not sure yet.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. Go ahead and write in and let us know what you guys thought about this X-Men vs. Titans episode by reaching out to us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Or you can email us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com.
You can find links to all of our social media accounts on our website, dynamicduel.com.
Where you can also find a link to our merchandise store where we sell t-shirts and mugs and phone cases and pillows and all the things you could ever want with Jonathan's no prize artwork on them.
I think for this episode, I'm going to be drawing Cyborg because the X-Men won and I'm bitter. But also, he's like the only one I haven't drawn yet.
In our next episode, it will be another duel episode in which we pit an X-Men character who wasn't able to be in this match, Archangel. We're pitting him against the angelic character on DC called Zuriel. Now, why are we pitting these two against each other? Because we're starting the Christmas spirit early. And since angels are associated with Christmas, we thought this was the perfect time to pit these characters against each other. I mean, technically this episode will be premiering before Thanksgiving, but that's only because Thanksgiving is coming late this year. It's never too early to get in the Christmas spirit, though.
I'm already listening to Christmas music. I love this time of year.
Please share this podcast with your friends and family. Subscribe to it if you haven't already. And if possible, rate us on Apple Podcasts and iTunes. Again, we're trying to get to 200 ratings on that platform to join Rotten Tomatoes.
For realsies, guys.
Yeah. Big thanks to our executive producers of the show, John Spees and Bodo Winter. We'll talk to you guys next week with episode 151.
Up and away.
True believers.